The audience at The Late Show with Stephen Colbert was buzzing with excitement as Matt Damon walked onto the stage, smiling and waving. It had been months since his last late-night appearance, and fans were eager to hear about his latest project, gritty Oscar bait drama that had already generated award season buzz. At first, everything seemed perfectly cordial. Stephen complimented Matt on his career longevity. The crowd applauded, and Matt even cracked a self-deprecating joke about his Jason Bourne knees not keeping up with action scenes anymore. But as the interview shifted gears, Stephen's tone changed just slightly, enough for the more attentive viewers to notice. He brought up a past controversy Damon had faced during a press tour, the one Matt had carefully avoided discussing for years. A murmur ran through the audience. Matt's smile faltered. Stephen leaned forward, clasping his hands, and asked, "Matt, you've always been outspoken, but there was that time, remember, when your comments about diversity in filmmaking stirred some backlash. Do you still stand by what you said?" The studio went dead silent. Matt straightened in his chair, his jaw tightening. "That was taken out of context," he began, keeping his voice calm but clipped. "And honestly, Stephen, I thought we were here to talk about the movie, not rehash headlines from 7 years ago." A few nervous chuckles escaped from the crowd, but Stephen didn't let up. "I think the audience deserves to hear where you stand now," he pressed, his eyes locked on Matt like a prosecutor in a courtroom. Matt exhaled sharply and gave a small shake of his head. "I've explained myself before, and I'm not going to be put in a position where I have to defend something that was twisted for clicks," he said. Stephen smirked, not out of malice, but with that trademark Colbert expression that says, "I'm just doing my job." But the tension was palpable now. You could feel it radiating from the stage. Audience members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Someone coughed. Matt glanced toward the band, as if silently pleading for Jon Batiste to jump in with a comedic riff to diffuse the moment. No such rescue came. Stephen, sensing an opportunity for a viral clip, took it one step further. "You're one of the most powerful actors in Hollywood. Matt, do you think it's fair to dodge questions about accountability when you have that much influence?" The crowd gave a collective ooh at the bluntness. Matt's eyes narrowed. "Fair," he said slowly, leaning forward now himself. "Fair would be giving me a platform to actually discuss my work instead of baiting me into a controversy. You know, I've already addressed." The air between them was crackling. Viewers at home would later say you could practically see the sparks flying through the screen. The exchange dragged on, both men now speaking over each other. Matt tried to pivot back to the film, talking about the challenges of shooting in remote locations. But Stephen interrupted with another pointed question about public perception. Finally, Matt's polite veneer cracked. "You know what, Stephen? If this is the conversation you want to have, then have it without me." Gasps erupted from the audience. Stephen looked briefly taken aback, as though he hadn't expected Matt to call his bluff. The live audience wasn't sure if they were witnessing a rehearsed bit or a genuine meltdown. Matt stood up, unhooking the mic clipped to his shirt. The floor manager, clearly panicked, motioned for him to sit back down. Cameras kept rolling as Matt muttered something under his breath, inaudible to the crowd, but enough to make Stephen raise his eyebrows. Matt, come on, sit down. We can talk this through," Stephen urged, his voice still calm but now tinged with concern. But Matt just shook his head. "No, man, I'm not here for a public ambush." He turned toward the side of the stage, the applause sign flickering uncertainly above the audience. The crowd erupted into confused chatter as Matt walked off, disappearing behind the curtain. Stephen sat frozen for a beat, then looked directly into the camera with a half smile. "Well, that just happened," he said, earning a few awkward laughs. Trying to save the moment, Stephen made a quip about having to book Jimmy Kimmel as a replacement guest, a dig at Matt's long-running foe feud with Kimmel. But the laughter was strained, and the atmosphere had undeniably shifted. Backstage, witnesses later claimed Matt refused to return, despite producers pleading with him to finish the segment. One crew member told a tabloid that Damon was visibly furious and muttered about never coming back to The Late Show. Others insisted Stephen tried to apologize in the moment, but Matt had already put on his jacket and left the building. By the time the show cut to commercial, Damon's car was already pulling away from the studio. Within hours, the clip of the confrontation exploded online. Headlines screamed Matt Damon storms off, Colbert said an on-air blow-up, and Colbert pushes too far. Social media split into camps, some praising Stephen for holding a celebrity accountable, others accusing him of ambushing a guest. The hashtag Team Matt began trending alongside hashtag Colbert was right, with fans on both sides dissecting every second of the exchange like a sports replay. By the next morning, both camps had released short statements. Matt's PR team claimed he was blindsided by a hostile interview approach and that he will continue to focus on his film work, not manufactured drama. Stephen's representatives were more diplomatic, saying they regret the misunderstanding, but stood by the importance of asking honest questions. Industry insiders whispered about whether the incident would hurt Damon's awards campaign or boost it by painting him as someone unwilling to play the late-night PR game. Either way, one thing was certain. For years to come, people would remember the night Matt Damon walked off The Late Show, leaving Stephen Colbert alone under the studio lights, smiling just enough to hide the fact that he'd lost his guest in real time. The morning after the walk-off, paparazzi swarmed the streets outside Matt Damon's New York hotel. He emerged wearing dark sunglasses, a baseball cap pulled low, and a black hoodie, clearly in no mood to talk. Still, the questions flew like bullets. Matt, are you going back on The Late Show? Was Colbert out of line? Do you regret walking off? Matt kept his head down, muttering no comment, as his publicist practically shoved him into a waiting SUV. Across town, Stephen Colbert arrived at the CBS studio to a far friendlier crowd fans, holding signs like, "We love you, Stephen," but his expression was more somber than usual. Inside sources claimed he had spent much of the night re-watching the footage, wondering if he had pushed just a little too hard. By midday, the clip had surpassed 5 million views on YouTube and was being replayed endlessly on entertainment networks. TMZ ran with an alleged leaked backstage video, showing Matt gesturing sharply with his hands as he spoke to producers, his voice raised. Though the audio was muffled, live readers on Twitter swore they saw him say, "I'm not your punching bag." That phrase quickly became a meme, printed on t-shirts and GIFs that flooded social media. The incident wasn't just news, it was pop culture fuel, and every outlet wanted a piece of it. Other celebrities began weighing in. Ben Affleck, Damon's longtime friend, was cornered by reporters while leaving a coffee shop in LA. "Look, I know Matt," Affleck said with a weary smile. "He's a stand-up guy. I think sometimes things get heated, but he's not someone who walks away lightly." On the flip side, comedian Bill Maher told his HBO audience, "If you can't handle tough questions, maybe don't go on a show where the host's job is to ask them." His audience laughed, but online, the debate only grew more intense. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about Matt and Stephen, it was about celebrity accountability, late-night TV ethics, and how far is too far in an interview. That night, Stephen addressed the situation directly on his show. Sitting at his desk, he told viewers, "Last night's interview didn't go the way I hoped. I respect Matt Damon, and I wish we'd finished the conversation." The audience applauded, but Stephen's carefully measured words were dissected online for hidden meaning. Was this an apology or just PR damage control? Meanwhile, Matt remained silent, refusing all interview requests. His absence from the media only made the public more curious. 3 days later, Matt's new movie premiered at a major New York theater. Normally, press events were his wheelhouse: red carpets, friendly banter, signed posters. But this time, every microphone was angled toward one question: what really happened on Colbert? His co-stars looked increasingly uncomfortable as reporters tried to bait him into a soundbite. Matt finally answered with a tight smile, "I'm proud of my movie. That's all I'm talking about tonight." Cameras caught the way he walked, straight past a reporter from CBS. It didn't go unnoticed. Then came the unexpected twist. A former Late Show staffer anonymously spoke to an entertainment blog, claiming the segment had been partially scripted. According to the source, the producers knew the controversy topic might get a rise out of Matt, but no one expected him to actually walk off. The insider alleged that when Matt stood up, Colbert's first reaction was to signal the band for comedic music, assuming it was a bit till he realized Damon wasn't coming back. This revelation only deepened the public's fascination. As the weeks passed, The fallout began to affect both men. Accountability episode, knowing the confrontation, had boosted ratings. Meanwhile, some of future talk show bookings were quietly canceled.